Now Warren Morris hits a deep drive down the right field line. That ball is gone! LSU wins the College World Series on a home run by Morris.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. Right now, it is time to continue to slide into the series presented by Small Sliders. We talk to LSU Head Baseball coach Paul Mainieri here on OTB. Coach Mainieri, what's going on? A tough week of news for y'all. I want to start here. Obviously, the Jaden Hill news it's really upsetting, mainly for Hill himself. How is Jaden holding up following the news that his season is over and he has to have that Tommy John surgery?
Well, emotionally, he's holding up remarkably well. T-Bob, he's a pretty mature kid. He also had a very major situation happen in his life. He's very close with a former player here, Cedric Harris. I'm not sure what their blood relation is, but I know their families are very close. And Cedric lost his 14-year-old son, CJ, to an ATV accident. And I think it allowed Jaden to really kind of keep things in perspective. This is a real shocking blow to Jaden to tear the ligament in his elbow and have his season ended and going to need Tommy John surgery. But really it pales in comparison to a 14-year-old losing his life. And Jaden will be able to recover. Obviously, the family, Cedric's family is suffering something that they'll never be able to recover from. Yeah. And Jaden's able to keep things in perspective, and he'll be okay in the long run. Obviously, his season is over, affects our team greatly, but he'll have the surgery. He'll still get drafted. A team will rehab him, and he'll be able to begin his professional career at some point, and hopefully have a long, distinguished career. So it was heartbreaking when it happened. I couldn't believe it. Second inning against the number one team in the country, 0-0 game. And he threw a pitch, and I could just tell by his reaction, he kind of clenched his fist. I'm not sure anybody else saw it but me, but been around long enough to know when you see little reactions like that, something wasn't right. So I went out to the umpire, and I said, I need to check on my pitcher. I think something's wrong. And sure enough, when I went out to the mound, I said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "No, I think I felt something pop in my elbow." And, of course, our trainer, Corey Couture, was with me, and Corey asked him if he was feeling any pain, and he said, "No, I'm not. It just something felt weird." So we waited for a few seconds. No pain started, and he wanted to try to throw a ball, and he said when he threw it, something just didn't feel right. So, of course, we took him off the field, and on Monday, they did the medical tests, and it was confirmed that there was a tear, and so he's finished for the season. So heartbreaking stuff. You go into this business to help young people, and when something like that happens, it just tears you apart, and it feels so awful for the kid. But like I said, he'll recover, and as a team, we'll just have to deal with it, and we'll recover as well. Obviously, he was a highly talented kid, and it'll be a blow to us, but we're just going to have to make do.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's definitely, you feel horrible for Hill himself, but then as you said, just like functionally on the field, it's also a blow to a team that is already dealing with adversity. And so as this outside noise kind of continues to build up and the adversity continues to build up, you've been at this job for a long time, coaching baseball as long as anyone. How do you deal with all that adversity and outside noise? Like, how do you keep this team locked in for the second half of the season?
Well, as far as the noise goes, I don't really pay attention to it. I can't. If you do, it's overwhelming. You guys are part of the noise. That's your job. That's definitely what you have to do. You're dealing with the fans, and that's what makes LSU special, to have people that care and want to talk about LSU sports. And I understand that it's all part of it, but I just can't listen to it and worry about it. All my concern is the 37 players on our team and getting them in the right frame of mind to be able to compete against a really tough schedule. I think we might have the toughest schedule in the country, but that's no excuse. It is what it is. We got to play the teams that are on our schedule, and we've got to succeed. And I was really proud of our team that they bounced back on Tuesday against a good McNeese State team. They played their hearts out. They won a game and put them in a good frame of mind, getting ready to play Kentucky this weekend. And listen, we got to chip away. We got to start piling up some SEC wins, and we still have 21 games left. And we've dug ourselves a huge hole, and we got to do it one game at a time, and start digging out of it, and readjust what we can accomplish. But we're not giving up. We're just going to keep battling, and hopefully get a win Friday night, and then turn our attention to Saturday.
Coach, y'all have those conversations, like maybe if someone does go down like Jaden unfortunately did throughout the season, like I can see this guy maybe starting on the weekends if it came to it, and maybe not dive into those conversations because everyone's healthy, but in the back of your mind and you and the coaching staff say, if something does happen, this is a guy that we can see has the mentality to be a weekend guy in the SEC?
Yeah, sure, Jacob, but right now, we got to play them one at a time. More important than our third starter is, winning one game, and then worrying about winning another game. So I'm not going to save somebody for Sunday's game if that person can help us win Friday's game. And I'm not going to save that person for Sunday if that person can help us win Saturday's game. There's been years where we've only had two starting pitchers. For me, more important than Sunday starter is the first two games starting pitchers and the bullpen guys that can help us close out a victory. If we have to get to Sunday and piece it together, then we should do that. So I'm not going to name a starting pitcher for Sunday. It's going to be the old famous TBA. He pitches for a lot of teams across the country, And, we've got guys in the back of our mind that we think we could do that with, that we could start the game. If we haven't used them, there's obvious candidates, Blake Money, Will Helmers, Garrett Edwards. But if those guys can help us win a game before we get to Sunday, we're going to use them. And if we haven't used one of them, then that player will start the game on Sunday. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll see how the weekend goes. It's a strategy that makes a ton of sense. Well, how about Blake Money, Coach? What did you learn out of him entering in a kind of, after the Hill injury, just kind of an odd thrown in there situation against the best team in the nation, and it felt like he held his own.
Yeah, I wish I'd brought him in, first instead of the left-hander, that gave up 5 runs right away. Blake really did a great job. He's always had a good arm. He's always been a great competitor, but his secondary offerings, were in a real development stage. But the other night, I thought he threw some good breaking balls and some good changeups. If you want to go through the lineup, even one time, but certainly a second time, for sure a third time, you cannot be a one-pitch pony. You got to be able to, have 2 or 3 pitches. And Allen seems to be very confident that Blake's repertoire has developed and that he's capable of doing that now. And he did go 4+ innings the other night, and he threw up to, I think, 80 pitches. So, I'm very encouraged by what Blake did the other day. Like I said, he's always been a fierce competitor. He's always been able to throw the ball 94 miles an hour. The thing that's kept him from, or the thing that's, allowed him to be hit a little bit and not be able to pitch with any length, in terms of quantity of pitches, is the inability to change speeds and keep the hitters off his fastball. But the other night he was able to do that. So let's hope that that's a sign of things to come.
All right, Coach, got Kentucky coming up, obviously, on the schedule, 5-4 in conference play for the Wildcats, traveling up to Lexington. What are the things that you know about Kentucky that, could possibly pose a problem for LSU?
Well, Kentucky is a very solid team. They're hitting .285 as a team. They got a team ERA of 3. They lost 3 tough games this weekend at Mississippi State, which, of course, is easy to do. Mississippi State's a very talented team. They lost an extra inning game. They got walked off. They had a 1-run loss. The first game, Mississippi State beat them a little bit handily. but they've got a really veteran team. They got a guy named Collette, left-handed hitter. It seems like he's been there for 100 years. I know he's there in 17 because Greg Dykman threw him out from right field on a single.
Yeah.
He Collette had a knee surgery and he had a big old brace on his knee, and he couldn't run at all, and he smoked a single to right field, and Greg Dykman threw him out at first base leading off the ninth inning of a one-run game. It was a critical play. But he's a really good hitter, Collette. Their leadoff hitter is a guy named Schultz that really makes them go. He's a strong guy, though. He's not just a punch and Judy hitter, like a table setter. But once he gets on base, he can run. He's a good athlete. Their top 3-4 hitters in their lineup are really, really solid. But after that, they're okay. Although earlier in this week they played at Louisville, who was ranked 5th in the country, and their 9-hole hitter, their shortstop, had 6 RBIs in the first 4 innings of the game. He had a bases-clearing double, and then he missed a grand slam by inches and hit another bases-loaded double. So, but statistically in the SEC games, they've got like 4 or 5 guys that are hitting 212 or lower. So I don't know if they've just run into really good pitching in the SEC like we have, and their numbers aren't great in SEC games, but somehow they've won 5 games. They always play with a lot of emotion. They're very, very proud team. They kind of play with a chip on their shoulder. So they just built a brand new ballpark, a beautiful ballpark. They spent about $60 or $70 million on. So it's the first time we've been there. I'm not shedding a tear for their old ballpark. I was not a big fan of it. So I'm glad that they've got a new ballpark, and I'm anxious to coach in it and see what kind of park it's like. But we got our hands full. I mean, they're a very, very solid team. Their coach has a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. So, we're gonna have our hands full, and we got to take them one at a time, as always.
Coach, what do you think the key is for the lineup kind of breaking through on these Friday night guys? Now, obviously, you faced some of the elite where nobody's ever going to have consistent success, right? You just got to try to do enough. But, I mean, people point to, like, Chad Dallas and as maybe being a bar where that's a guy you would hope to have more success against. Like, and your lineup, it's really consistent against the lesser pitching. Like, these midweek games have been so dominant. So what's the key to taking that next step to find that consistent offensive success on the weekend?
If I knew the answer to that question, T-Bob, I'd already answered it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got guys that I thought would be really good hitters, like Cade Doty. He's killing the out of conference pitching, but he's just been scuffling in conference. He hit a home run off Jack Leiter, but outside of that, he's got 1 RBI in 9 games. I'm not blaming Cade, believe me. Cade Beloso is 3 for 25 in conference games. I mean, go right down the list. We're hitting 201 in conference games. These guys are guys that I thought would hit, and they've shown that they can hit. And listen, we faced some unbelievable pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, this past weekend, obviously, you mentioned it. Leiter and Rocker, those guys are going to be pitching in the major leagues this summer. Their third starter is going to be a 2nd or 3rd round draft choice. They brought in a guy out of the bullpen throwing 97 miles an hour that'll be in the big leagues in a short time. Those are the elite of the elite, and nobody's hitting those guys, okay? But you're right, like guys like Chad Dallas, those are good, solid SEC pitchers with good sliders that are throwing 93, 94 miles an hour. We've got to be able to rise up and be able to hit those guys. We can't just get 4 or 5 hits in a game every week. I mean, every night against those kind of guys and expect to win ball games. And I know we're playing a lot of freshmen. And listen, initially opening weekend against Mississippi State, it was a big adjustment for those kids.
Yeah,
I understand that. We haven't played an SEC game in 2 years. And all of a sudden you're in there against McLeod, and you're in there against Bednar, and you're in, it was tough, man. It was tough. And then, the next weekend Dallas provided, but, we got to Heflin, the third game against Mississippi State, we got to their guys. So we've had a couple of good games offensively. I was shocked that the kid from Tennessee he's just a freshman, man, 95 to 97 with a knockout slider. That was pretty tough, on Sunday against Tennessee. So we have run up against some really quality arms. And, I don't know what Kentucky's got. Their numbers are really good. But somehow, some way, we've got to be able to hit these guys. The amount of strikeouts has been alarming for us. I've never had a team strike out this much. And we've had some times where we've had a runner at third base with one out, where just put the ball in play, just hit a ground ball to the middle of the infield, gets us a run. And, you get that run, you tack on another one, and maybe the game's a different game. But we can't let those opportunities bypass us when, just putting the ball in play will get us a run. We're not asking for a double in the gap, So, look, the kids are trying. They really are. And a lot of it is, just an adjustment to a caliber of play that they haven't seen before in their life. And my job is to just keep encouraging them and building their confidence. But sooner or later, they got to rise up and they got to do it. I can't hit for them, and Eddie can't hit for them. You get in that batter's box, man. You got to just rise up, and you got to be able to meet the challenge, and hopefully they'll be able to do it. It's not easy. Hitting a baseball is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
I've done it. I wasn't a great hitter myself, and I know how hard it is. And I know these kids can sometimes get very frustrated. But, they just can't lose confidence. They just got to keep plugging away, and hopefully they'll get it done.
Well, Coach, in the past, the hallmark of your teams have always been finishing strong, and here's to hoping that this team could do the same. It starts this weekend at Kentucky. Best of luck as you all hit the road to Lexington.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. That is LSU Head Baseball Coach Paul Mainieri. And thank you to Small Sliders, as that is the end of sliding into this weekend series. Let's discuss some of what Coach Mainieri had to say next here on OTB.